After doing the reviewing pull requests, GitHub Learning Lab module, I felt that it was necessary to go over some basics as well. In talking to some people, I have decided to go through the introduction to GitHub module on Microsoft Learn. I think that I will probably do another video afterwards covering some other aspects. I'll probably just revisit a webinar that I gave a year ago, and yeah, let's see how it goes. First, if you don't have a GitHub account, you should go there and sign up. Otherwise, you won't be able to do that. I also strongly advise using Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and yeah, it will be very helpful if you do it. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the module. How do you access this module? You go to learn.microsoft.com and you can just type in this on the search field. I will be adding a link to the description of this video with a direct route to this. I haven't taken it, so it will be, let's see, we'll figure it out as we go through it. So yeah, learning objectives. In this module we will communicate with the project community and issues, manage notifications for project events, create branches to manage work in parallel, make commits to update project source, introduce changes with pull requests, and deploy a web page to GitHub Pages. I think this pretty much summarizes most of the basic tasks involved with managing and working on projects with GitHub. So let's take a look what it says here. So what is GitHub? And this is important. Git and GitHub are two different things. GitHub is a development platform that enables you to host and review code, manage projects, and build software alongside 50 million developers. GitHub is a DevOps tool. It has DevOps tools, automating projects, version control system, basically. It's just weird to me that there are people who say that they either don't like it or don't find it useful. Maybe because they don't know how to use it. Probably. So what is GitHub? Let's see. The GitHub flow. In addition to providing a platform for collaborative software development, GitHub also offers a workflow designed to optimize use of its various features. I want to talk about this a little bit. Let's take a look at this. So this is the flow page, okay? So the GitHub flow basically talks about the life cycle, if I can call it this way, of the operations that happen in GitHub, like creating like first setting aside a folder to control with a GitHub repository or a project, and then changing files, committing these changes in a branch or even in the main file, and so on and so forth. So this whole cycle, this whole life cycle, that starts with assigning a file or a folder to be controlled, all the way through merging changes done in different versions to the file, to an initial file, are covered in this. And I will probably talk a little bit more about that on the third video that I'll do about this topic. I will also post this link on the description. I think it's important to read on details, and this way you can learn more about this. Let's get back here to the Learns module. to the Learn module. So as you work with Git and GitHub, you may wonder about the difference between the two. So Git, as I said before, Joaquim, o papai tá falando agora, tá? Não pode atrapalhar o papai, tá bom? As you work with Git and GitHub, you may wonder about the difference between the two. I think I already said that before. Anyway, so Git is a DVCS, is a distributed version control system that allows multiple people to work on a given project, working with changes, different branches, and then merging them together in a remote repository. So GitHub has Git underneath it, if we can put it that way. So it's also important to do most of the operations. You have to have Git installed in your machine. Also going to put the link on that, and probably make it like a 5-minute video. The installation of Git, it's pretty straightforward, but I'll make a video anyways explaining how to install it. Here there's a link for the common Git commands. It's not necessary. It's important to understand. Yes, it will give you a lot of power. If you want to go ahead without understanding this, you can, nowadays you can do just fine, until you have to deal with complex Git operations such as merge issues and conflicts that you eventually may deal with during your process. Anyway, so as I said before, GitHub is a cloud platform that uses Git as its core technology. This puts it even better than I did. It simplifies the process of collaborating on projects and provides a website, command line tools, and overall flow that allows developers and users to work together. GitHub acts as the remote repository mentioned previously in the Git section. Key features provided by GitHub include issues, discussions, pull requests, notifications, labels, actions, forks, projects. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and it's very good. So it links to the getting started with GitHub training here. I can go through this if people want as well. I think it's good to get your hands dirty and work on it by itself. So issues. What is an issue? Issue, it's usually a way of pointing out a specific feature or problem or development task that wants to be done, that needs to be done, that has to be done in a given project. And it has this format here. It could be a bug report, it could be I don't know, a documentation issue, a typo on the README file, anything. But basically you go there and there's this nifty looking page in which you can just write down what exactly is going on. Okay, well, maybe we should do this and improve this topic. You can assign people to it, you can add labels to it, you can assign it to a certain project or milestone. Pull requests can point to the issues, and this will make more sense as you go through. And I strongly advise, if you want to go deep into it, get involved with open source projects. There are thousands of them out there, and October we have the Hacktoberfest. Get involved, get some swags, and you see a lot more stuff. Notifications, it notifies you. You can use the phone app. There's a phone app, and you can also be notified via email or according to your configurations or anything. But basically, when someone mentions you, or when there's a comment in some issue or pull request, that you're either subscribed to it or involved in it, or when there's any state changes or anything, you can be notified via email, web, or mobile, or all of them together. There are links here on how to configure and set these things up. So branches, if you went through the GitHub flow, you would understand a little bit more about that. But let me just try to explain. Let's say that I am working on a website and it's a single page, index.html. And there's actually 4 people working on the same file. To avoid or to minimize the impact of these modifications, we can create different branches, which would be equivalent to different versions of reality. Remember those time travel movies when a guy goes back and makes a change and creates an alternate reality? So a branch is kind of like that. Okay. So the picture here gives an idea. So we can come here and make changes on that file. And then I make the pull request submission. The pull request is a request to take this code and merge into the main branch, the main version of reality. And then we go there, we check for changes, we see if there's any conflicts and stuff. And this picture shows 2. You can have more than 2. Let's say 4, 5, 10, 20, as many as you need to. Also additional links to explain a little bit more about that. Commit. Whenever I make, remember the example I said up here about the index.html file? So whenever you change something, it's called a file, okay, specifically speaking. It's you can commit this change as a file. This commit is assigned a unique ID, which is linked to a person's name and email and a time. And this allows for auditing and for, as a VCS system, a version control system, you can monitor and revert changes as necessary. So yeah, this picture here shows an example. So for example, for this specific repository on the main branch, we have some commits. So we have 3 here, 4 actually, 1 down here, and on here you see the unique code of each of them. And you can, if you click on those, you are able to see what exactly was changed for each of these as well. A pull request, as I explained above, is basically a request to grab one of these modifications that were done in a branch, and you basically are telling whoever is managing the repository, okay, I am ready to merge my changes to the main branch. And then we go here and you have a conversation in which you can just discuss all the stuff that's been done. You can see how many commits are there in that pull request, the files that were modified, and you can compare the versions to see what exactly was changed. And in here is a place in which you will see if there are any conflicts that need resolving. Again, you can assign someone to be the reviewer, assign someone to be the person in charge of this task, put it into labels, projects, milestones, and link it to existing issues that are there. Labels, as I said before, are just organization tools. You can label issues and post requests per topics, or you see bugs, documentation, duplicates, enhancements, good first issue, so on and so forth. And you can create your own labels to help you organize and separate specific topics or features or versions or whatever. Actions. So this is where the power comes. You can use continuous integration and continuous deployment with GitHub. So again, this is just an overview. I am not going too deep into these details, even though I intend to do so in the future, explaining a little bit more on how to do this. And on the 25th, actually, I am going to talk about how to use development environments. This is not exactly this, but it's also a similar tool, using Docker and containers to develop on Visual Studio Code. And I'll probably post a video on my channel as well. So actions are automated tasks, workflows, events, jobs, steps, actions, runners. You can automate certain tasks using GitHub on your repository, on your project, such as, for example, the deployment of a web page, either static or dynamic, online on your favorite cloud platform, for example. And as you pull, if you push the code, the GitHub engine will go there and do all the necessary steps to send it, to upload the code to the cloud and publish it, if it's a website, for example. There are many things that can be done, and unfortunately this is out of the scope of this video. Cloning and forking. So GitHub allows you to copy a repository in many ways. You can just download whatever it's there, which is basically what we call the cloning the repository. You just get whatever is there on the cloud, on GitHub cloud, and make a copy on a folder in your machine. Forking, on the other hand, will make a copy of that repository under your account. It explains a little bit more here. It talks about upstreams, which is basically, let's say, for example, I make a copy of Microsoft Education. Let's say Microsoft has a repository called Education. I go there and I fork it to my account. It will still recognize Microsoft's Education as the upstream, the main repository, but and I will even be able, as soon as I make changes to my repository, to send pull requests to the original one, and so on and so forth. Read this and go into more details. There are trainings on GitHub that explains you this, like this one, fork a repo. GitHub Pages. So this is another interesting thing. There is a hosting engine embedded in GitHub that you can use to create simple websites, static sites mainly, using HTML and Markdown. And yeah, it's pretty much a website here. You can see a little bit more here about that. Let's take a look at the exercise. In this exercise, you use GitHub Learning Lab to learn about GitHub features, including issues, notifications, branches, blah blah blah, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Let's take a look at the Learning Lab. Intro to GitHub. So sign in. I should be signed in already. Let's do this. Introduction to GitHub. I haven't done it. Yeah. Is there English? Oh, additional options. Yeah, let's do it via web. It's interesting because I wanted to do this with the other video. I just show the process. Okay, let's start. Welcome to GitHub Learning Lab's Introduction to GitHub. So, what is GitHub? Okay, GitHub is a collaboration platform, a powerful version control system, and it helps people to do much more. There's a video here, not gonna click it. Go there and do it yourself when you're doing it. I strongly advise you, if you haven't had exposure to it, do as many things as you can. Click on all the videos and read all the stuff. So exploring a GitHub repository, another video, features, project boards, wiki, insights, special files, using issues. Let's see, using GitHub issues. Issues are used to discuss ideas, enhancements, tests, and bugs. I already explained that before. They make collaboration easier by blah 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 blah. Another video. Imagining notifications. We have talked about notifications as well. Step 1 for the task. Assign yourself. Unassigned issues don't have owners to look after them. When you're assigned to an issue or a pull request, it tells repository visitors and contributors that you will be facilitating the conversation or task. On the right side of the screen, under the Assignees section, click the gear icon and select yourself. Let's do that. Here, assign yourself, and there it is. I am now assigned to the task. Okay, step 2, turn on GitHub Pages. Let's use GitHub Pages. Explain a little bit that. Let's take a look there. Click on the settings tab and this repository, scroll down to the GitHub Pages section. From the source drop down, select main branch. Let's go there. GitHub Pages, source, the main branch, and save. And let's take a look at the website. Oh, cool. Use the right icon to begin. Where is the right arrow? Where is it? I don't see a right arrow. Weird. Okay. You turned on GitHub Pages. Your site is now visible to the public. Check it out at this place / whatever. Now that you have completed the tasks in this issue, it's time to close it. Closing an issue tells other contributors that this particular conversation or task has come to an end. Click the Close Issue button below. Close issue. Consider this issue finished. Head over to the next issue. Okay, so the GitHub flow again. Please, it's very important to understand this. Focus a little bit more on this part. Again, I will be publishing a video that explains a little bit more about commits, pushes, staging, and all these things. Okay, create a branch. Let's go ahead and create our first branch. Navigate to the Code tab. Click Branch Main in the drop down. In the field, enter a name for your branch, like my slide. Click Create Branch. Okay, here, let's go there, my slide, and click here, or press enter. There it is. I have created it. Let's take a look. Yeah. So have you noticed how these things are going automatically? So this all can be done using GitHub Actions and adding bots and stuff. So GitHub is very powerful. You should definitely go deep into it and learn more. You created a branch. Blah, blah, blah. Commits 101. Don't end your commit message with a period. Keep your commit messages to 50 characters or less. Use active voice. Add instead of added and merge instead of merged. Think of your commit as expressing intent to introduce a change. So the commit has a commit message. This is what they're talking about. So you change files and then you choose a message that will summarize and describe what that commit contains. What did it do? Okay, so let's go there. Create a new file on this branch in a posts folder called, okay, let's go ahead to the posts folder. Create a new file. I am doing it here. Don't do it here. You're not going to do it here. You're either going to use, anyway, that's all of your choice. Perhaps I should do a video using Microsoft Visual Studio Code and showing how to interact with GitHub. But this is a topic for a future video. Create a file called this. Let's go there and create this. Paste. And I will add this content to the file. And paste. And I will, you can, after adding the text, you can commit the change by entering a commit message in the text entry field below this file edit view, blah blah blah. When you've entered the commit added, new 0000001 02 Hit detected. Open a pull request. So we have the branch there, the my slide. Now I am ready to merge that to the main branch. So we go there and let's create a pull request. This time I'll use the shortcut. So let's make the shortcut. It's best practice. Some repositories will have here, you will see what exactly they expect to see in a pull request message. This one doesn't have, it's for the sake of simplicity. And then the body should have something meaningful there explaining. Create the pull request. Let's take a look. Okay. Your pull request is looking great. Let's add some content to your file. Replace line 5 of your file with a quotation or meme and witty caption. Okay. Replace line 5. Okay, go back here. With something new. Oh, okay. So just changing that. Let's go ahead and change that. Let's call this, I don't know. That's what she said. Michael Scott. And then I'll update that. Again, the messages should be descriptive and stuff like that. So you see now a second commit that changes the file there. I have both with the code as described before. And then if you click here, you're going to see the different file. Let's take a look at the conversation to see what it does. Now merge the pull request. Let's go there. All tasks have been passed. Click merge pull request, confirm merged, and let's delete this branch. And that's it. We have completed the intro to GitHub course. And blah, some texts and stuff, and let's go back to the let's see, this is done, and let's go back to the learn tutorial to take a look at what we have now. So continue the knowledge check. What is the best way to report a bug to a GitHub project? Send an email to a project owner. If the project owner is like me, I have problems reading emails. I don't bother reporting software bugs because there's no transparency and they never get fixed anyway. A shout out here to the 0-day bug finders. Search for the bug in the project's existing issues and create a new one if it hasn't been reported yet. Maybe it's this one. Suppose you have created a bug fix on a new branch and want it to become part of the next production build generated from the main branch. What should you do next? Okay, let's take a look. On a second thought, maybe I won't share this fix. No, not good. Create a pull request to merge your new branch into the main branch. Let's see if that's the one. Suppose you'd like to work with a project on GitHub, but you don't have right access to the project. What can you do to contribute? Clone and push updates directly. You don't have right access. No. Use Git Commands to make a copy of the project so you can work. Submit an issue to get your changes into the target repository. Kinda. Fork the project's repository to your GitHub account. Clone the forked repository to your local machine. Push changes and submit a pull request to the target upstream repository. Let's see if that's the one. And that's it. Congratulations. Job well done. Summary, we have learned a few things. This is something basic. Let's unlock the achievement. And that's it. yeah, this is again, it's a short video. It's a 30-minute video from what I've been seeing so far. Just an introduction, covering a few of the possible tasks. It's clearly not enough. You need to go there and do a lot more if you want to learn about it. But I hope I can help. If you have any messages, please don't hesitate to reach out. Post a comment here. Follow this. This will probably be beneficial. I need more followers so I can change the URL to something less something easier to remember actually. That's it. Thank you very much, and see you on the next video.